Bobby.
Yeah.
Um, when when we're thinking about like peer review literature and
Mhm.
free thought and things, would you agree that a lot of our peer reviewed literature comes from organizations that are extremely left leaning?
Um, what you mean to say is that in general, as people end up with more and more education, they have a tendency to be more left leaning. That's true.
Okay.
Yeah.
So fair. So as
Mhm.
people become more and more educated, we move more towards more liberal, progressive beliefs, correct?
Yes, this also happens when people live together as well. So in cities, you have a tendency for people to be more liberal because they have a lot more conversations and they interact with a lot more people, right? And so, in general, liberalism or more left leaning positions have a tendency to arise over meeting new people, learning new things, engaging with new material, learning new topics, and becoming more educated. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
We're not afraid of things that don't look exactly like us, right? Like,
Yeah.
yeah.
if it's never an idea we've
Um,
never had, we're like,
okay.
hey, check it out.
So when I think earlier you mentioned
Hmm.
that like Christians um a lot of times accept things without evidence,
Yeah.
right?
Yep.
Um, could there be sometimes instances where because things are so left leaning, there aren't funding and research on the more conservative viewpoints?
Well, hang on.
So
Just
there are no
hang on.
evident,
Hang
like
on.
there
You're
are
making
no what?
a false statement there. You first were asking about the people, right? And I indicated that they were left leaning. But now you're saying that the literature is left leaning. The literature
Yeah, well,
is
I
what.
mean, okay, let me
So you're
clarify then.
basically saying that everything that comes from left leaning people, even if they're like highly educated, is also left leaning literature. And that's just
Yeah, I
fallacious.
mean,
Like a nerd.
there's unconscious Bobby, there
Mhm.
are biases in any type of research, whether or not we want to admit it
You
or
would have
not,
to
based upon
you would have to demonstrate that, man. You can't just say, "Hey, you know those
because Bob,
10,000 neurology
re,
papers? They're all left-leaning neurology papers." You'd
no,
have to show me,
we're talking about neurology. You're talking versus like you're talking about
or
neurology, which I'm
physics,
not talking about.
or
I'm
psychology,
not talking.
or
I'm
chemistry,
not talking about
or
what's.
mathematics.
I'm not. What we're talking more about. Well, one is I'm not necessarily disputing
Hmm.
chemistry papers or things like that. I'm
Religious
disputing more of
studies,
these social,
philosophy,
more of these social, what?
philosophy.
Anything that's a little bit more abstract and less like scientific.
Yeah,
Like, is
all of
something
this is
racist or
left-leaning.
not?
I don't know what you're
What,
talking about.
what's, is something racist or not? Does this law create more, you know, things that hurt black people or certain classes more than others?
Hmm.
Those are the research articles that I would challenge come through biases a lot more than say a mathematical art thing that you're reading because there's too many unconscious biases that go through it with agendas to them, and
No,
when they come
no.
from left-leaning organ, so you wait, so you're going to tell me you believe this, Bobby,
Hmm.
that left-leaning institutions that believe racism is here that then fund articles to say racism is occurring may not have some unconscious bias behind their research? You think it's just
It does.
perfectly
Give
founded?
me an example of an article. Because in general, when people pull these articles out, there is a large amount of data. There is typically
Okay.
peer review evidence. There is peer review on the article itself. There's an analysis with statistical information, including null and alternative hypotheses, stats on what the test statistic is and what
You're
the
you're you're
probability is of
you're
the
saying
particular
you're
deduction that
saying
they're
what they
making.
should be.
So
You're saying what
you're being fallacious
Bobby,
here.
no, Bobby, because you're saying what they should be. You're saying what they should be. which is statistics and actual sample
Have
sets
you read
and
any of
things.
these
And what I'm
papers?
Yes, Bobby, I have.
Okay,
And what
then
I'm
you
trying
are
to say,
aware
no,
that they
no,
use
no, I don't.
stats.
No, 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 no. 1 second. I have. And what I'm saying is, and I think as a mathematician, you should be very well aware of this. And if you're not, I feel like it's not good faith.
Uh-huh.
If you really do believe, if you really do believe that people who are doing these research articles are truly using statistics the way the statistics was meant to be used,
Yes.
and actually, so you don't think that people sometimes use statistics the wrong way because they don't
If
understand how to
people
use
use it the
statistics,
wrong
so they don't
way,
do
then they
random
retract their
samples.
paper, typically, right?
No, doing something the wrong way and then retracting is bullshit, Bobby. Because now people have that. That's no different than saying, vaccines cause autism, and then retracting it and then saying, well, we no longer think that's the case. Now you've just misled a bunch of people through your bullshit argument because you didn't use statistics the way it was supposed to be. That's no, that's
What are
that's
you
bad.
what are you talking about? Didn't use statistics the way it was supposed to be. Someone can make an error in using statistics correctly, right?
Many
Which
people
would
do,
involve a
Bobby. Many people do.
retraction. You're making it out like no one in the scientific community is interested in actually publishing the truth, and that they're all what, just giving each other blowjobs or something. Like
No, I'm
you're
making
just
out to be.
not
I'm calling
correct,
out a
dude.
fundamental. No, I'm calling out a fundamental truth, which is we all have unconscious biases.
People have biases, but they also attempt to account for those. Like, for example, in medicine, right? Typically, you're required to do things under a double blind experiment. This is both because the experiments typically are very small, because you don't have a lot of candidates to be able to participate in an experiment. And so, in order to deal with the extreme biases that come from very small selections, you typically have to take incredible measures. Some particular measures that typically do very good are something like double blind. But when you're doing a stat paper with tens of thousands of examples, right? You don't need double blind for that. You can make an assessment on those numbers as is. So when you conclude, hey, it looks like there's a particular bias in, some type of racial group in the way in which they drive cars or something, then that analysis is clearly pinpointed and written about, and it's clear what the experiment is. Everyone understands it. And then, more importantly, it gets replicated. People redo that experiment across the globe at different universities and in different ways and in different capacities. Sometimes interns pick it up and redo the same thing, especially if it was a good experiment done and it revealed a lot of really interesting information on how particular biases work or whatnot, right?